In a small village nestled between the emerald hills of West Africa, the sun dipped low over the horizon, casting a warm golden hue across the landscape. The village, a vibrant tapestry of mud brick homes and thatched roofs, buzzed with life. Children played in the fields, their laughter mingling with the rhythmic beat of drums that echoed from the communal hut. As this story proceeds, consider subscribing to this channel for more interesting stories like this. Don't forget to turn on the notification after you subscribe. The heart of the village flowed a river, its waters shimmering like silver under the sun, a lifeline that provided nourishment and sustenance to the community. Adia, a young girl of 10, was known for her bright, curious eyes and her adventurous spirit. She spent her days exploring the lush fields, climbing the tallest trees, and playing by the riverbank, where she felt most alive. Her elder brother, Kofi, was her protector and confidant. He was strong and kind, often sharing tales of the spirits that inhabited the river and the ancient folklore passed down through their family. Recently, Kofi had married a woman named Zara, whose beauty captivated the entire village. Zara was enchanting, with long hair that flowed like the river and a smile that could light up the darkest nights. Yet, beneath her charm, Adia sensed an unsettling aura that made her heart race with unease. Kofi had always been a beacon of strength for Adia. He taught her how to fish, how to climb trees, and how to listen to the whispers of the wind. But since his marriage, he seemed different, distracted, enchanted by Zara's beauty. Adia felt a growing chasm between them, a distance that she could not bridge. As the days turned into weeks, Adia observed Zara's behavior with growing suspicion. Each night, after the sun had set and the village was cloaked in darkness, Zara would slip away from their home. Adia felt a mix of fear and curiosity gnawing at her, urging her to uncover the truth behind her sister-in-law's late-night escapades. One evening, as the moon hung high in the sky, casting a silvery glow over the land, Adia decided to follow Zara. She crept out of her bed, careful not to wake Kofi, and tiptoed outside. The night air was cool against her skin, and the sounds of crickets filled the silence. As Adia approached the riverbank, she hid behind a cluster of reeds, her heart pounding with anticipation. She watched as Zara approached the water, her silhouette framed by the moonlight. Kneeling at the water's edge, Zara trailed her fingers through the surface, and Adia's breath caught in her throat. Suddenly, with a swift motion, Zara shed her clothes and dove into the river. Adia gasped, her eyes widening in disbelief. Zara transformed before her very eyes. Her legs melded into a shimmering tail, scales glistening like jewels in the moonlight. Zara began to sing, a haunting melody that resonated with the depths of the river. The sound was both beautiful and eerie, wrapping around Adia like a spell. Mesmerized, Adia took a step closer, but her foot caught on a twig, snapping it beneath her. The noise shattered the night, and Zara turned, her eyes glowing with an unnatural light. "What do you want, little girl?" Zara's voice was smooth, yet there was an edge to it that sent chills down Adia's spine. I saw you," Adia stammered, her voice barely above a whisper. "You're a mermaid." Zara's expression shifted, a flicker of something dark crossing her features. "You must keep this secret, Adia. If you tell anyone, there will be consequences." Adia felt a shiver run through her. "But Kofi, he needs to know." "Your brother cannot know," Zara insisted, her tone now laced with urgency. "He is mine now. He belongs to the river." With that, Zara dove back into the depths of the water, leaving Adia trembling on the shore. The weight of the secret pressed heavily upon her young shoulders, and she felt a mix of fear and confusion. In the days that followed, Adia struggled to contain the truth. She found herself haunted by visions of Zara's transformation and the enchanting song that echoed in her mind. Adia watched as Zara's influence over Kofi grew stronger. He seemed entranced by her beauty and charm, blind to the strange occurrences that plagued the village. The fishermen returned with empty nets, crops wilted under the harsh sun, and an eerie silence settled over the once vibrant community. Adia's heart ached as she witnessed the villagers' despair, but every time she tried to speak to Kofi, he dismissed her concerns. "Zara is perfect, Adia. You're just imagining things," he would say, his eyes shining with love for his new bride. Adia felt increasingly isolated, the burden of her secret weighing heavily on her. She knew she had to protect Kofi, but how could she convince him of the truth when no one believed her? One day, as Adia sat by the river, she noticed the water swirling in a peculiar manner. It seemed to beckon her, whispering secrets that only she could hear. She leaned closer, her heart racing, when suddenly a vision flashed before her eyes. A glimpse of Zara in her mermaid form, dancing beneath the water while shadows loomed in the depths. The vision haunted Adia, filling her with dread. She decided to confide in Mama Oma, the village elder known for her wisdom and knowledge of ancient tales. Adia approached the elder's hut, her heart pounding. "Mama Oma?" Adia called softly, peeking inside. Mama Oma looked up, her wrinkled face breaking into a warm smile. "Ah, Adia. Come in, child. What troubles you?" Adia hesitated, the weight of her secret heavy in her chest. "It's about Kofi and Zara. I think there's something wrong with her." Mama Oma's expression shifted, curiosity sparking in her eyes. "Tell me everything." With trembling hands, Adia recounted the events of the past few weeks, revealing Zara's transformation and the dark presence that seemed to surround her. Mama Oma listened intently, her brow furrowing in concern. "Mermaids are not to be trifled with, child," she warned. "They can bring both beauty and destruction. You must be cautious." "But Kofi loves her," Adia exclaimed. "How can I protect him?" Mama Oma placed a comforting hand on Adia's shoulder. "Love can be blinding, my dear. You must find a way to show him the truth. The river holds many secrets, and sometimes those secrets are best revealed in the light of day." As the nights grew darker and the air thickened with tension, a storm brewed on the horizon. Dark clouds gathered ominously above the village, casting long shadows over the land. Adia lay in bed, restless and anxious, the sound of thunder rumbling in the distance. Suddenly, she awoke to find Kofi missing from their shared home. Panic surged through her veins as she rushed outside, the wind whipping around her like a wild beast. She knew where he must be, drawn by Zara's enchanting call to the river. Adia ran as fast as her legs could carry her, fear propelling her forward. She arrived at the riverbank just as lightning split the sky, illuminating the churning water. There, she saw Zara, her hair wild and eyes gleaming with a predatory hunger. "Kofi!" Adia screamed, her voice breaking through the thunder. "Come back!" But Kofi stood entranced, his body moving toward the water as if under a spell. Adia's heart sank as she realized the truth. Zara had ensnared him, just as she had done to so many others. "Let him go!" Adia cried, her voice filled with desperation. Zara only smiled, a cruel twist of her lips. "You should have kept quiet, little girl. Now he is mine forever." Chapter 5. The confrontation. In that moment, the river roared to life, and Adia felt a surge of courage. She couldn't let her brother be taken by this creature of the depths. Summoning all her strength, she charged at Zara, determined to pull Kofi back from the brink. "Zara, please," Adia shouted, her heart racing. "He's my brother. Let him go." Zara's expression darkened, and the water around her bubbled as if alive. "You dare to challenge me?" she hissed, her voice laced with venom. Adia could feel the power of the river swirling around Zara, but she refused to back down. "I won't let you take him. I'll do whatever it takes to save him." With that declaration, the storm intensified, and Adia felt the energy of the night shift. She could hear whispers in the wind, the voices of ancestors urging her on. Gathering her resolve, she reached for a nearby branch and plunged it into the water, creating a barrier between Zara and Kofi. "Fight it, Kofi. You can break free," Adia cried, tears streaming down her cheeks as she clung to the branch, her heart aching for her brother. Kofi blinked, confusion washing over his face. Adia? What's happening? Zara is not who she seems. She's a mermaid, and she wants to take you away. Adia shouted, desperation clawing at her throat. Zara's eyes flared with rage, and the water surged violently around her. You will pay for this, little girl, she screamed, her voice echoing through the storm. As Zara lunged toward Kofi, Adia felt a surge of adrenaline. She couldn't let her brother be taken by this creature of the depths. Summoning all her strength, she charged at Zara, determined to pull Kofi back from the brink. Zara, if you truly love him, prove it. Let him choose. Adia cried. Hoping to reach the humanity within the creature, Zara's expression flickered with uncertainty, and Adia seized the opportunity. Kofi, listen to me. You have to choose, her or your family. We can't lose you. Kofi's eyes widened, and for the first time, he seemed to break free from Zara's hold. The struggle within him was palpable, but Adia could see the love he had for her, his sister, battling against the allure of the mermaid. Adia, I don't know. Kofi shouted, fear etched on his face. Choose love, Kofi. Choose us. Adia pleaded, tears streaming down her cheeks. In that moment of clarity, Kofi stepped back from the water, his gaze shifting between Zara and Adia. I choose my family, he declared, his voice strong and resolute. Zara's expression twisted in fury, and the storm erupted into chaos. The river roared, waves crashing against the shore as she lunged for Kofi. You will regret this, she shrieked, her voice filled with rage. With a final burst of determination, Adia pushed forward, using the branch to create a barrier between Zara and her brother. Go, Kofi! Run, she shouted, knowing the danger was far from over. But in that moment of distraction, Zara unleashed her wrath, summoning the water to rise up and engulf Adia. The river surged, pulling her into its depths. Adia gasped, the cold water enveloping her, and she struggled against the current, fighting for her life. Adia? Kofi cried, reaching out for her, but Zara's power was too strong. Adia felt herself being dragged down, the light of the surface fading away. In her final moments, Adia remembered the tales Kofi had told her, the stories of brave heroes who made sacrifices for their loved ones. Drawing upon every ounce of strength, she kicked her legs and swam upward, breaking free from the river's grasp. As she surfaced, gasping for air, she saw Kofi standing at the riverbank, torn between the love for his sister and the allure of Zara. Adia, I'm coming, he shouted, but Zara's grip tightened around him. No, Adia screamed, desperation flooding her voice. You have to let him go. Zara's eyes gleamed with malice. He is mine. He can never leave. Adia's heart raced as she realized the truth. If she wanted to save her brother, she would have to confront Zara once and for all. You may have power over the river, but you cannot control love. Adia shouted. Her voice steadied as she swam closer. The river responded to her will, currents swirling around her like a protective embrace. Adia reached for Kofi's hand, pulling him away from Zara's grasp. The connection between them ignited a spark of defiance. Together, we can break her hold, Adia cried, their hands clasped tightly. In that moment, the river seemed to shift, responding to the purity of their love. The waters surged around Zara, her form flickering as if the river itself was rejecting her. No, this cannot be, she screamed, her voice filled with rage and disbelief. But Adia and Kofi stood united, their love creating a barrier against Zara's dark magic. With one final push, Adia summoned the strength of the river itself, channeling its power to expel Zara from their lives. The waters roared, and with a blinding flash of light, Zara was engulfed, her form dissolving into the depths of the river. A moment of silence fell over the chaos as the storm began to dissipate, the dark clouds parting to reveal the stars above as the dawn broke, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. Adia and Kofi emerged from the river, breathless but alive. The village was quiet, the air heavy with the remnants of the storm. They collapsed onto the riverbank, tears of relief streaming down their faces. "We did it," Kofi whispered, staring at the water as if it held the answers to all their questions. "We broke her hold." Adia nodded, her heart still racing. But at what cost? The village. They turned to look at their home, where villagers began to emerge from their homes, confused and weary. Adia felt a pang of guilt, knowing that many had suffered under Zara's dark influence. Word spread of what had transpired. The villagers gathered around them, disbelief etched on their faces. They listened as Adia recounted the tale of Zara, the mermaid who had brought misfortune to their lives. Slowly, their expressions shifted from doubt to understanding. "We must heal," Kofi declared, his voice strong. "Together, we can restore what has been lost." The villagers rallied around Adia and Kofi, working hand in hand to rebuild their community. The river, once a source of fear, became a symbol of resilience and unity. They honored the spirits of their ancestors, offering gratitude for the strength to overcome darkness. Adia took it upon herself to lead the village in rituals of healing. They gathered by the river, singing songs of gratitude and hope, their voices echoing in harmony with the flowing water. The river responded, its currents calming as if acknowledging their prayers. As time passed, the village flourished once more. Adia became known as the keeper of secrets, a guardian of the stories that bound them together. She often returned to the river, not with fear, but with reverence, sharing tales of bravery and love with the children who gathered around her. One day, as she sat by the riverbank, a group of children approached her, their eyes wide with curiosity. "Tell us a story, Adia," they begged, their voices filled with excitement. Adia smiled, her heart swelling with affection for the eager faces before her. "Very well. Let me tell you about the river and the secrets it holds." As she wove her tales, she spoke of the spirits of the river, the lessons learned from her encounter with Zara, and the importance of family and love. The children listened intently, their imaginations ignited by her words. "Never forget the power of love," Adia said, her voice steady. "It is stronger than any darkness that may come our way." The children nodded, their eyes shining with understanding. Adia felt a surge of pride, knowing that she was passing down the wisdom of her experiences. As the years passed, Adia and Kofi continued to thrive in their village. They became leaders, guiding their community through challenges and celebrating their triumphs. The river, once feared, became a source of life and inspiration, a testament to the power of love over darkness. One evening, as Adia sat by the riverbank, she noticed a ripple in the water. It was a familiar sight, and her heart raced with anticipation. The memories of Zara's haunting melody echoed in her mind. But instead of fear, she felt a sense of peace. "Come back, if you can," she whispered to the river, her heart open to the possibilities of the future. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the water, Adia smiled. She knew that the river held many secrets, but she also understood that love would always triumph over darkness. And so, as the stars twinkled in the sky, Adia's story continued, a tale of bravery, love, and the enduring spirit of a village united by the power of the river. But the peace was not to last. One fateful night, as Adia lay in bed, she was awakened by a chilling breeze that swept through her window. The air felt heavy, charged with an ominous energy. Adia sat up, her heart racing. She sensed something was amiss. Rushing to the window, she peered out into the night. The moon hung low, casting a ghostly glow over the river. Adia's breath hitched as she saw a figure standing at the water's edge. Zara, the familiar silhouette, sent a rush of fear coursing through her veins. Zara's hair flowed like shadows, and her eyes glimmered with a predatory glint. Adia's heart sank. She had thought they were free of her. "Adia," Zara's voice echoed across the water, smooth like silk but laced with malice. "You thought you could banish me? I am part of this river, and I will always return." Adia's heart raced as she sprinted to find Kofi. Kofi, wake up, she cried, shaking him awake. What is it, Adia? Kofi mumbled, rubbing the sleep from his eyes. The concern in his voice deepened when he saw the panic on her face. What's wrong? Zara, she's back, Adia exclaimed, breathless. I saw her by the river. We have to do something. Kofi's expression shifted from confusion to alarm as he jumped out of bed. We need to warn the village, he said, quickly dressing. Together, they hurried outside, the cool night air wrapping around them. As they reached the riverbank, they saw Zara standing there, her form illuminated by the moonlight. She seemed to shimmer, her beauty more captivating than ever, but there was a darkness in her presence that sent chills down Adia's spine. Kofi, Zara cooed, her voice honeyed and alluring. Come back to me. We can be together forever. I missed you. Stay away from him. Adia shouted, stepping protectively in front of Kofi. You have no power here. Zara laughed, a sound that echoed eerily across the water. Power? Oh, little girl, you have no idea how much power I wield. You think you can just cast me aside? The river listens to me. It is my home. Kofi's face was a mixture of fear and confusion. Adia, I don't understand. What do you mean? She's my wife. Your wife. Adia cried, desperation filling her voice. Kofi, she's a mermaid. She lured you in with her songs. You can't trust her. Zara stepped closer, her eyes narrowing. You should not speak of things you do not understand, Adia. You think you can protect him from me? You're just a child. I may be a child, but I know the truth. Adia shouted back, her voice steady despite the fear coursing through her. You're a danger to our family and our village. A thick tension hung in the air as Kofi stood frozen, torn between the woman he loved and the sister who had always stood by him. The river churned beneath Zara, reflecting the turmoil of emotions swirling around them. Zara, please, Kofi said, desperation creeping into his voice. You have to leave us alone. We chose love over your darkness. Zara's smile faltered for a moment, replaced by a glimmer of rage. You think you can choose? Love is a chain that binds you to me. You are mine, Kofi. In that instant, the river surged violently, as if responding to Zara's escalating emotions. Waves crashed against the shore, and Adia felt the ground tremble beneath her feet. Adia? Kofi pleaded, his voice cracking. What do we do? Adia's mind raced. We need to break her hold. She thrives on fear and despair. We have to show the village the truth. Without thinking, Adia turned and ran toward the village, Kofi at her heels. They burst into the heart of the village, where a few families were still awake, gathered around flickering fires. The villagers looked up in surprise at the sight of the siblings, their faces pale with fear. Everyone, Adia called, her voice ringing out. Zara is back, and she poses a threat to us all. We need to unite and confront her. The villagers exchanged worried glances, unsure of what to believe. But Mama Uma stepped forward, her wise eyes fixed on Adia. What do you mean, child? Adia took a deep breath, her heart pounding. I saw her. She's a mermaid, and she's trying to take Kofi away. We need to show her that we are stronger together, that love can defeat her darkness. The villagers murmured among themselves, fear and uncertainty clouding their faces. Finally, Mama Uma nodded. Gather your courage, everyone. The river has secrets, and we must face them together. With renewed determination, the villagers rallied around Adia and Kofi. They gathered supplies, torches, drums, and offerings to the river spirits. The air was thick with tension, but there was also a flicker of hope igniting in their hearts as they approached the riverbank. The moonlight glinted off the water, casting an otherworldly glow. Zara stood waiting, her beauty undiminished, but her expression was now one of cold fury. Foolish mortals, she hissed, her voice dripping with disdain. You think you can challenge me? I am the ruler of these waters. Adia stepped forward, her heart racing but her resolve firm. We are not afraid of you, Zara. We stand together as one. Your power over Kofi ends tonight. Zara laughed, a chilling sound that echoed through the night. You think your unity can save you? I will take what is mine. The villagers stood firm, holding their torches high, creating a circle of light around Zara. They began to chant, their voices rising in a powerful melody. Adia recognized the song. It was one of the ancient songs of the river, a call to the spirits for protection and strength. As the chanting grew louder, Zara's expression shifted from confidence to alarm. The waters around her began to churn violently, as if the river itself was reacting to the villagers' song. Adia felt the energy building around them, a wave of unity surging through the crowd. Together, she shouted, we are stronger together. The villagers chanted louder, their voices harmonizing, echoing through the night. The river responded, its waters glowing with a vibrant light, illuminating the darkness that surrounded Zara. No, Zara screamed, her voice filled with rage and desperation. You cannot do this. But the villagers pressed on, their determination unwavering. Kofi stepped forward, his voice joining the chorus. You cannot take me from my family, Zara. I choose them. With that declaration, the light from the river intensified, and the waters surged toward Zara. She struggled against the tide, her expression twisting in fury and disbelief. Adia, help me. Kofi cried, reaching out to his sister. Adia felt a surge of love for her brother. I'm here, Kofi. She grabbed his hand tightly, feeling the bond of their family strengthen. Together, we will break her hold. As they stood united, the river roared, and a wave of energy washed over them. The light enveloped Zara, forcing her back into the depths. No, I will return, she shrieked as the waters closed around her. The darkness retreating in the face of their love and unity. As the storm subsided and the river returned to its gentle flow, the villagers fell silent, breathless from the intensity of the moment. They looked at one another, disbelief slowly giving way to relief and joy. Adia and Kofi stood at the riverbank, still holding hands, their hearts pounding with adrenaline. We did it, Kofi said, tears of relief filling his eyes. Yes, Adia whispered, her voice trembling. We did it together. The villagers erupted into cheers, their voices ringing out in celebration. They had faced the darkness and emerged victorious, united in love and strength. Mama Uma stepped forward, her wise eyes shining with pride. You have proven that love can conquer even the darkest of forces. The river will remember this night, and so shall we. As dawn broke, painting the sky in hues of orange and gold, the villagers gathered to offer gratitude to the river. They sang songs of thanks, their voices rising in harmony, filling the air with hope and joy. Adia stood by her brother, watching the sun rise over the water. She felt a deep connection to the river, knowing that it held both beauty and danger. But she also understood that as long as they stood together, they could face whatever challenges lay ahead. In the weeks that followed, the village flourished. The fishermen returned with bountiful catches, and the crops flourished under the warm sun. The air was filled with laughter and joy, a testament to the strength of their unity. Adia became known as the keeper of secrets, a guardian of the stories that bound them together. She often returned to the river, not with fear, but with reverence, sharing tales of bravery and love with the children who gathered around her point one day. As she sat by the riverbank, she felt a ripple in the water. It was a familiar sight, and her heart raced with anticipation. The memories of Zara's haunting melody echoed in her mind. But instead of fear, she felt a sense of peace. Come back, if you can, she whispered to the river, her heart open to the possibilities of the future. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the water, Adia smiled. She knew that the river held many secrets, but she also understood that love would always triumph over darkness. And so, as the stars twinkled in the sky, Adia's story continued, a tale of bravery, love, and the enduring spirit of a village united by the power of the river. Years passed, and Adia grew into a wise young woman, respected and loved by her community. Kofi had started a family of his own, and Adia often found herself with her little nieces and nephews by the river, recounting the stories of their past, stories filled with lessons about courage, loyalty, and the importance of family. One evening, as the sun set behind the hills, casting long shadows across the village, Adia gathered the children around her. Tonight, I will tell you the story of the river and the brave hearts who faced darkness, she began, her voice soft but strong. As she spoke, the children listened with wide eyes, wrapped in her tales of Zara and the power of love. Adia emphasized the importance of unity and the strength that comes from standing together against adversity. But even as she shared these stories, Adia remained aware of the river's mysteries. She knew that the world was vast and filled with wonders, and she often dreamed of exploring beyond the hills, of uncovering new tales to bring back to her village. One day, as Adia sat by the river, she felt a stirring in her heart. The water glimmered with an inviting light, and she couldn't shake the feeling that it was calling to her. She closed her eyes and listened, allowing the sounds of the river to wash over her. Suddenly, a vision appeared before her, a glimpse of distant lands, of lush forests and sparkling lakes. She saw people of different cultures and traditions, each with their own stories to tell. The river whispered to her, urging her to embark on a journey of discovery. Maybe it's time to explore, she thought, her heart racing with excitement. She could share the tales of her village while learning from others, enriching her life and the lives of her people. Adia returned home that evening, her mind buzzing with possibilities. She spoke to Kofi, who listened intently as she shared her dreams of adventure. I want to explore beyond the hills, to learn and grow. I want to bring back new stories for our children. Kofi smiled, pride swelling in his chest. You've always been brave, Adia. If this is what you want, then you should go. The village will support you. With his encouragement, Adia began to prepare for her journey. She gathered supplies, packed her belongings, and sought the blessings of Mama Oma and the elders. They offered her wisdom and guidance, reminding her to always listen to her heart and the river. The day of departure arrived, and the village gathered to bid farewell to their beloved keeper of secrets. Adia stood before them, her heart full of love and gratitude. I will carry your stories with me, she promised, and I will return with new tales to share. With tears and smiles, the villagers watched as Adia walked toward the river, her heart light with anticipation. She stepped into the cool water, feeling the gentle current embrace her. As she waded deeper, she turned to wave goodbye, knowing that this journey would change her forever. As Adia swam further into the river, she felt a sense of freedom wash over her. The river guided her, its currents weaving a path to new adventures. She marveled at the beauty of the underwater world, vibrant fish darting past, and the sunlight filtering through the surface. Adia knew that the river was not just a part of her home, but a part of her very being. It held the stories of her past and the promise of her future. As she ventured into the unknown, she felt a deep connection to the spirits of the river, who watched over her as she embarked on this new chapter in her life. Days turned into weeks, and Adia explored lands she had only dreamed of. She encountered diverse cultures, each with their own traditions and tales. She shared her stories of love and bravery, and in return, she learned from the wisdom of others. Adia discovered the power of storytelling to bridge gaps between communities, and she reveled in the connections she made. She danced with villagers during festivals, tasted exotic foods, and listened to elders recount their histories, weaving them into her own narrative. But no matter how far she traveled, Adia often found herself thinking of her village and the river that had shaped her. She missed the familiar sounds of laughter and the warmth of her family. Each night, she would sit by a river or a lake, closing her eyes and listening for the whispers of her beloved river, feeling its presence no matter the distance. After many adventures, Adia felt the pull of home growing stronger. She longed to share her experiences and the new stories she had collected along the way. With a heart full of memories, she began her journey back to her village. As she approached the familiar hills, she could see the rooftops of her home. Excitement bubbled within her, and she quickened her pace. When she finally reached the village, she was greeted with cheers and hugs from her family and friends. "You've returned," Kofi exclaimed, his eyes shining with happiness. "We missed you. I missed you all so much," Adia replied, her voice filled with emotion. "I have so many stories to share." That evening, the village gathered around a large bonfire. Adia took her place in the center, the warmth of the flames reflecting the love in her heart. She began to recount her adventures, the tales of distant lands, and the lessons learned from strangers who had become friends. The villagers listened in awe, captivated by her words. Adia painted vivid pictures with her storytelling, bringing to life the sights and sounds of the places she had visited. Laughter and applause filled the air as she shared tales of bravery, kindness, and the power of community. As the night wore on, Adia felt a sense of fulfillment wash over her. She had set out to explore the world, but it was the love of her village that had always been her guiding light. She realized that every story she had collected was woven into the fabric of her identity. When she finished telling her tales, the villagers erupted into cheers, their hearts filled with joy. Mama Ome stepped forward, her wise eyes sparkling with pride. "You have honored our stories, Adia, and in doing so, you have created a new legacy for our people." Adia smiled, knowing that the river would continue to flow, carrying their stories into the future. She understood that every person had their own tale to tell, and together, they formed a tapestry of love and resilience. From that day forward, Adia became not only the keeper of secrets, but also the keeper of stories, dedicated to preserving the tales of her village and sharing them with future generations. The river remained a constant presence in her life, a reminder of the adventures she had embarked upon and the love that would always guide her home. As the sun set over the horizon, casting hues of orange and pink across the sky, Adia sat by the riverbank, surrounded by her family and friends. She felt at peace, knowing that love would always triumph over darkness, and that the stories of the river would continue to flow through their lives, uniting them in a bond that could never be broken.